Hey man, don't waste my time. I'm gonna show you how to not waste your own either. Hey there enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Ligo here again, and in this video I want to talk to you about the biggest time wasters when starting your business. That's right, we're talking about the biggest time wasters when starting your business. Obviously when it comes to starting your business and doing well, getting your business off the ground, we know that it can be quite the undertaking, and there's a lot of work that goes into it as well. When you think about the trajectory of an airplane, it fights so hard to get off the ground, right? That's the very nature of it. It's called takeoff. Your business is much the same way. One of the things that can stifle your growth and initial takeoff as well is this thing of wasted time. And I have found this en masse when it comes to dealing with all the people that I have throughout the years, both in my coaching program, clientele, customers, and so on. And that encompasses a large field of different industries. So with that said, let me go ahead and give you 3 of the top time wasters that I have seen. And again, I've seen this in every single industry, and I've certainly seen it in the realm of launching a business and taking it online. Your biggest time wasters, avoid these 3 biggest time wasters, and I promise you, your productivity and your success rate will go up before you know it. Let's get into it. Number 1 is paperwork. Paperwork. That's right, I said paperwork. Everyone thinks that paperwork is so important, and I'm here to tell you that paperwork can be one of the biggest drawbacks and one of the biggest obstacles in your career. And even for me, it's funny to hear myself talk like that because I have been a stickler on paperwork, and I'm one of those types that is absolutely Mr. Organization, right? Everyone who knows me knows that I am this way almost to a fault. I am religious when it comes to organization. But the reality is we no longer live in a day and time where paperwork has to run our life. If you want to go ahead and check out a previous video on my channel, I'll put a link in the description below. I actually talked about some of the things that you can do to boost your productivity and take some of these stresses out of your life. And one of the things that you can do is absolutely get as much paperwork out of your life as possible. Everyone, when starting a business, they approach it with kid gloves. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because in your mind, this is a delicate process. This is important, and it's exciting as well. But the reality is, the more that you accumulate paperwork, the more that you have to find places to stick that paperwork. And before you know it, paperwork will be all over the place, in your office, in your closet, so on and so forth, and it really can be a stressful thing on you and those around you. I would advise that you take a digital approach, especially if you're in the online marketing business. There's no reason whatsoever that you cannot digitalize the things that are in your life that you think paperwork has to have precedence over. It absolutely does not. I challenge you to name me right now 3 things that you absolutely need to have when it comes to paperwork. You absolutely have to have it in paper form. Name me 3 things. I doubt you could do it, and if you can, you can't get much more than that, if that at all. I would dare say, give me 3 things. If you want to go ahead and think about some of the most important things in your life that you think you need to hold the paper to, you really don't. Let's think about what these things are. How about your car registration? Did you know that your car registration can actually be held digitally? I don't actually walk around with my car registration anymore. I live in the great state of Florida, so perhaps it does depend on your state, but that's just an example. The people who think that you have to have something in paper form, it's an absolute fallacy. I don't have to have that. You don't have to have your bank statements in paper form, and so on and so forth. Now let's say that something is not naturally by virtue digital. Well, the reality is, make it digital, right? Find a computer or download the app on your phone and scan it in and go paperless as much as you can. There's a reason why it's called the digital age. I promise you, if you get the paperwork out of your life, then you'll get more productivity in your life. So if you want to find one way to eliminate time wasting in your business and in your life, number 1, get rid of the paperwork. Number 2, corporate entity creation. That's right, I said corporate entity creation. And again, it's ironic to hear myself talk about that because for the longest time, even before going into business for myself, I was in fact a business advisor and a business banker to many different corporate clients, and we live off of paperwork and we live off organization as well. The reality is, in order to underwrite loans, as I was doing at that time, I had to see everyone's corporate entity structure, right? But let's go ahead and bring this down to where we live. The whole purpose of this video is when you get started in your business, right? Not when you're operating at $1 million level and beyond, which is where my clients were when I was a commercial banker. When you're getting started, who cares about your corporate entity, right? Everyone wants to think about that. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that people want to associate themselves with the brand. They want to start the branding and the marketing. While that's important, it's not absolutely essential when you get started. So much thought is given into, well, what am I going to call my business, right? And people want to nail the next big thing. They want to come up with a name like Coca-Cola or Amazon or Microsoft or McDonald's. And they want to come up with slogans that are attached to that or really strong marketing points. The reality is all that stuff will come. The first first thing you need to be obsessed with when you get started is turning a profit, is making money and putting money in your pocket. I cannot stress this enough. You'll also get people who say corporate entity structure is a must because I need to get this done in order to protect myself from litigators and the taxman and so on. And while those are valid points, again, in the beginning, you don't need them. Why? Because you have nothing to be sued over. Right? If you don't have a profit, no one is coming after you. The reason why people sue you is because there's something that you have that they're trying to come after. The reason why you need a tax shelter or tax dedicated professionals to help you save money on taxes is because you have money to be taxed on. So if you're not there yet, then I wouldn't worry about it. Don't waste a whole lot of time trying to figure out your brand name. All of that stuff can come about later on. And the reality is, the more that you go and the more that you grow, you're going to find yourself wanting to change your brand. You might want to do business under a different, business name. My brand name is Always Enterprise, has been for several years. Did you know that's not the actual entity name of my corporate structure? It's not. Did you also know that I have several different names underneath my corporate structure? They're called trade names. All of this is stuff that you can get in the weeds on, but it's not important. Later on, you can play around with that. And that's why when people talk about rebranding, it's a nice move for their business and for their company. All of that is fun ways to speak about something to make yourself feel better. At the end of the day, it is paying a few bucks and creating a new name for an existing business. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. It's fun and it's necessary sometimes. But again, that is a level that you want to get to. You're not there yet. Right now, just make some money. Get on your grind, hustle, and put some money in your pocket, and then you can talk about corporate entity structure. Number 3, and finally, is social media. That's right, I said social media. And again, I always need to start off with how ironic that these are the things I'm talking about when these are things that are so near and dear to my heart. How is it that an internet marketing specialist is talking to you about how social media is a big time waster? Are we not in the content creation business? Do we not use social media to fuel our business? Absolutely we do. So let me qualify that. When I say that social media is a big time waster for you, what I'm referring to is you being the consumer of other people's social media content, right? That's where you are the consumer. Where you need to be is the creator, the content creator, the content producer, right? The person who is putting out content to bring marketing individuals inside of your funnel, and therefore you can start growing your base. The more that you spend scrolling on social media and wasting time is that much more time that you don't have being productive in your own business. Now I get it, we all need to relax, unwind, find ways to pass time, and social media is an easy way to do that, all right? It is all about scrolling. The other thing that you might do is that if you're looking at social media, you could use that time as research, right? You could look at people and see what they're doing. You can try to copy the content that they're doing and make notes of it so that you can recreate it later. But until you get to that point where you're actually recreating it and doing something to put something out there, then you are not in the business of content creation. You're in the business of content consumption. And that's where you can lose a lot of time. Now, me personally, when I'm at my peak, I spend a lot of time consuming other people's content. Why? Because I will create stuff later on that mirror that. And the proof is right here. Look on this channel. We're approaching 300 episodes in just a few short years due to the consistency factor. You can absolutely do that as well if you put in the effort to put the stuff out there. So don't waste a whole lot of time consuming people's content. Do it for inspiration. Do it to see what's trending and then put some stuff out there. People don't get paid by consuming others' content. People get paid by creating their own content and people start consuming that. So that's where you want to be. Use this as an opportunity to create a whole lot of content, place it in different places across the internet and other places as well. And when it starts to monetize, believe me, you'll know that the reason for it is not because you were scrolling, but rather it's because you stopped somebody else's scroll. Stay off of social media unless you're putting some out there. There you have it, my friends. Listen, I hope this was helpful to you. Sound off in the comments below and let me know which one of these sticks out to you the most. Maybe there's one of these things here that you've taken for granted. Perhaps you don't realize how guilty you are of maybe using one of these things as a scapegoat or getting caught up in one of these things, and you have lost out on a lot of productivity time. Your time is being wasted, and now you realize what you need to step back on. Let me know in the comments below. You know what to do now. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. This is Jason Lag with Always Enterprise. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.